And hello and welcome. Welcome to episode 44 of the 5-Year Career Podcast. Today's topic is creating immediate direct income. Let that one sink in for just a second. And then imagine, what's that?
Creating immediate indirect income.
That's right. Thank you for that correction.
Let's start from scratch at the top again, and we'll use indirect, and I'll just edit that out.
Yes. Hello and welcome. Welcome to episode 44 of the 5-Year Career Podcast. Today's episode is called Creating Immediate Indirect Income. And let that one sink in for a second. And then imagine, if you can, starting a real estate career that creates quality, consistent, exclusive leads and allows you to create a business that in only 5 short years will pay you abundantly for the rest of your life. I know it sounds like hype and it sounds too good to be true, but that's what this podcast is all about. 5 years to financial freedom. You know what? And it all starts where? With leads, the lifeblood of every business. So in the next 30 minutes, we're going to help you to understand how to create immediate indirect income, which is part of the path to the 5-year career. So did you know that you don't need to master building direct income to start developing indirect income? And did you know that you can create a profitable indirect income stream even if you don't choose to engage in direct income activities? Are you catching the theme here going here? Is your real estate career a business, or is it just another job with a different title, still trading hours for dollars? Or how can you do this indirect income thing? Leverage the power of a successful team. And remember, team together, everyone achieves more. A team to support you, or find someone to do it for you. After all, isn't that all what we really want? Then today we're going to cover all of this and more. But first of all, before I get into this, let me introduce my esteemed and eloquent friends. First, I'm not sure where it falls on your screen, but weighing in at about 175 pounds, Mr. Skip Wiley, coming in from North Florida, a chilly North Florida, I imagine. And we got the whole state covered today, by the way. You know, on the East Coast, that's where I'm in sunny Fort Lauderdale. Skip is up in Pensacola, and Patrick vacationing in beautiful Naples, Florida, on the West Coast, Florida. Good morning, Patrick. How are you?
Good morning. As you can see, I'm wearing a sweater and a long sleeve shirt. So it is sunny, but it is chilly here in Naples on the westmost coast of the Florida Peninsula.
I promise you I win on the temperature. It was 27 degrees in beautiful Pensacola. I don't have a jacket on because I'm sitting next to a furnace.
Excellent. Good.
So I'm going to have to throw the win over to our Navy SEAL friend who's doing this outside. Okay. Wow. So he's actually doing this broadcast outside, and there's not too many places in the country that you could even try that one. So Pat, let me pass the buck over to you.
Sure thing, Eric. I appreciate that. Yeah, so, Skip Wiley mentioned something a couple of weeks ago, and we thought we would utilize it in today's podcast. And his theory as part of the 5-year career is, what if you only recruited 5 real estate agents to work with you, and they can either join your real estate company or not? In today's example, we're going to do the or not component. This is just 5 agents that may or may not work in your real estate company that you're going to follow the exact lead that we're doing with the Done For You program. So if you were to bring 5 agents into your team and they each did 12 transactions per year. And why are they going to do 12? Because we're going to do it for them at an average of $400,000 with the typical commission. And of course, not to quote commissions, not to violate any anti-trade discussions, but we're going to use an example of 2.5%. Very simply, that's $10,000 gross commission per transaction. So if you've got 5 agents doing that during the course of the year, that's $120,000 each. If you were to earn a 10% override off of their production, just 10%, that's $18,000 per agent, or an additional $60,000 for you each and every year in indirect income that you are doing based on the efforts and successes of the 5 people on your team. This does not include any calculations for indirect or passive income from your real estate company, if you work for one such company that pays those kinds of dividends, or a mortgage revenue share program, which we talk about quite often, or even stock participation from the companies that you may be working with. So that's $60,000 a year, just indirect income. If that's compelling to you, then we encourage you to stick with us for the next 20 minutes as we walk through how you're going to be able to do that. By the way, I think you'll make 5 real estate agents and their families very happy if they can bring in $120,000 in the next calendar year. What do you think about that?
Well, Patrick, I get a great opportunity today to talk a little bit about a past experience and then share how that past experience is why I'm with our team today. Over the past 35, 40 years, I've built several large companies. And in the very beginning of those companies, I focused on what every agent needs to focus on, which is direct income. In other words, I became a good producer. But after a while, I decided I wanted a life, because top producers don't always have the best life. They're working 80 hours a week. So I learned from a man far brighter than me that I could develop teams. And what we're going to talk about today is, I don't care what company you're with, you don't have to go out and open a business. You can build a team inside that company. There are some companies that are better designed for that than others, but you can really just say, look, I want to open a company, but I don't want all the liability for that company. I just want to build a team. And the way to do that, quite frankly, is relatively easy. And if you're comfortable with people, the first step is when you meet a real estate agent, just ask them a couple of questions. Hey, what do you do? How do you like the company you work for? What do you like the most about it? What do you wish you had that you don't have today? But the first question that I always ask, and it's an easy question to ask, is, I'm curious, how was real estate for you in 2024? You're going to get a quick answer to that question almost immediately. It sucked. It was really good. It doesn't really matter what the answer is. You have to engage somebody. I'm curious. Write that word down if you're if you ever want to be a recruiter or a good salesperson. I'm curious is the easiest opener to helping somebody feel comfortable in having that conversation with you. Then after you ask them some basic, simple, fun questions, and if you think you have to be super serious in life, you don't. You can just be yourself. You can ask questions of people, and if you're friendly and warm, they'll open up. If you're stiff and angry, they're not going to do that. So you just got to be yourself. Second thing is, after you understand a little bit about them, you have to ask a question. And the question, would you be interested in creating a 5-year career? Shut up, because that is a question that creates some curiosity. And curiosity killed the cat, but it also recruited a lot of people into my former companies.
Unless you're recruiting cats, in which case you're in deep trouble.
Yeah, yes, it's certainly, and for cat lovers, that's only a saying, not something that I entertain doing. So the next
How did
thing
cats
on
get
there,
dragged into all of this?
hey, that's what podcasts are for. I mean, listen, the one thing about the group of people that are on this call, I find you real. We're all real people. We're all been in this business a long time. We've all seen the good, the bad, and the ugly of real estate, but we still love it. We're still here. We still love helping people. So the next question that I would encourage you to learn how to ask is an open-ended question, which is, would you be open to other streams of income? Simple little question, yes or no. Because they're going to say, what are those other streams of income? And finally, listen, hey, John, you sound like you're curious about what I do. Could we schedule a 30-minute discovery call? Could we do a Zoom call? Would you be open to attending one of our podcasts to learn a little bit more? And I'm going to close my little segment here by just saying one thing that I've learned in life relevant to building teams. You have to have a cookie cutter approach to building anything in business, but especially if you're going to build a real estate team. That cookie cutter approach is finding a way to do the things that I just talked about and doing them consistently and having the discipline to do them day in and day out. So, Eric, I got a question for you. I know what to say, but where do I find the people to say it to?
Well, it's funny you say that because that's probably the easier part of this whole equation because, there's 1.5 plus million agents in this country, which equates to almost 1/3 of 1% of the population carries with them a real estate license. But of course, that's not who you're looking for. You're looking for the ones that that have a real estate pulse going on. They have something going on, right? And so the easiest place to meet that, and everyone who is a realtor is a member of a board. And if you just simply make a visit once a month, once a week, whatever frequency, but stop in at the board. They have great educational classes. It's a great opportunity for networking, and you're going to meet a bunch of people who are active and engaged in making themselves better realtors. So that's the easy one, number one. Then are all the realtor functions. I get invitations to realtor functions, that aren't even in my area, not to mention all of the ones that I get that are in my area. So there's a function, a chamber function, there's some sort of a real estate activity going on, open houses, you name it. All of those different places have realtors. The MLS, in fact, the MLS is just one big database of realtors. If you want to find out all the realtors, that you can even find out who's active, who's not, who's listing, who's not. It's a great place, is right there at your fingertips. It's part of it. And now you might look at your MLS as a little bit more of a resource, because not only can you search for houses, direct income, you can also search for agents and other joint venture partners or people to build a team around or with. So that's an easy one too. So right there, you could probably pick up 5 people a week if you wanted to, let alone, your goal of 5. Then again, the company that you work with. There are people that would love to work with you, and they're already with the same company as you. So they'll be open to some of those questions. How was your 2024? Did you make all the money that you wanted to make? I want somebody that has, what I call a mental pulse, somebody that, one of that question will either motivate them to say yes or no, not a shrug or I'm okay or anything like that. Then let's talk about your own personal sphere of influence. Now, these may be some of the best people because they know, like you, and trust you already. If you've demonstrated some professionalism, even if you're coming from a different career or different path, people respect you and know you in your sphere of influence. So, you can ask them, and today I had the kind of an interesting question on my radio show where I asked, are you looking for a new hustle, or are you just looking for maybe a side hustle? But the bottom line is, are you willing to hustle a little bit, and make a little bit of extra money? And we do this all through the avenue of real estate. Any comments from you guys?
Yeah, I'll share one. And definitely, it's funny. We talk about the concept of the pilot with the heads up display, right? So you can
love it. Love that analogy
in your life. And when you're talking to your sphere of influence, if you talk to them about something other than, hey, have you thought about buying or selling a house now or in the near future? The conversation is between you and friends. And because you're talking about real estate and because you're talking about a success model to help other people make money, the inference that your sphere of influence will take from that is you must have an abundance of opportunity if you're looking for other people to share it with. And so now they have the perception that you are as successful as you are or more potentially. But that conversation, I promise you, will yield real estate opportunities for your direct income as well as for the indirect income. It's just talking to people all the time about what it is that we do. That's very important. So great comments, Eric.
Yeah, I'd like to add one final thing to this little segment, and that is the last 2 people that joined my team here in Pensacola. One of them came to a webinar to learn how to buy their first home. Mm-hmm. They bought their first home and they wanted to get into real estate. So we put them in school. She just got her license and she is now starting a new career. Has it part-time, and a second person, people that I meet in my travels around Pensacola. I have 2 other people in real estate school now who were looking to improve their lifestyle. So everybody is a potential customer. Everybody is a potential recruit. and you just have to ask the right questions.
I find it weird that 20 people on Skip's team are all bartenders. How do you meet people, Skip? What's your secret sauce?
Yeah, it's your sphere of influence.
When I lived in South Florida, they were all bartenders. So some of them were great, some weren't so great.
Hey, they're socially outgoing, so that's a good start.
Yeah, you're looking for people that like to live.
Up until now, notice we haven't talked about selling one single property yourself, right? We're talking about indirect. We're trying to see how hands-off you can be. Patrick, talk to us a little bit about our special hands-off system.
Yeah, so there are many ways, obviously, if you build a team that you can help them generate direct income themselves. And we're not going to go through the laundry list and litany of all of those because some work, some don't. Many of them require a lengthy process of training, skill building, knowledge in the industry. But what we talk about here on our 5-year career mission is the magic of webinars. And we've got another one coming up this coming Tuesday. And as you know, we've been averaging 30, 40, in some cases, even 50 new registered home buyers per webinar. So we're going to use this exact thing in the example for today's podcast, which is how do you help those 5 real estate agents do 12 transactions this year? And the answer is simple. We've already shared the math with you in previous episodes. If you get 30 new leads per webinar and you participate in 1 webinar per month, then that's a whole bunch of leads. That's 360 new leads. And you do the math on that to be able to generate 12 transactions, pretty simple, especially if you follow the formula of post-webinar or post-registration lead capturing. Get these folks excited about financing, get them excited about whether it's new construction or whatever the soup du jour is for these home buyers in your local marketplace. But we would highly recommend the Done For You webinar program. So you've had your meetings with these agents at board functions. And Eric, I love that idea because that's meeting face to face where you can really get to know somebody much better than an email campaign, a text message campaign, et cetera. And Skip, you talked a little bit about getting them involved in the business like you've done, or they can already be hopefully trained real estate agents that know how to write contracts and do what they do and show homes. So first thing that we want to do is get them to talk to one of us and get them to attend one of our webinars. So that is really the system here. The Done For You program is the fastest approach to getting direct income for yourself or indirect income for your team members, which ultimately will lead to our third component, which is the passive income. So Skip, what is the magic in this Done For You? Why is it so successful?
Wow, you really put a lot of pressure on me today to share the most significant part of what we do as a team.
You can do it, Skip.
Yeah. Do you know what's really exciting for me is when the rubber meets the road. I moved to Pensacola 2 years ago. The first year I was here, I played a lot of golf, had a lot of fun, learned a little bit about the community, didn't do any work at all in real estate. But then one day I woke up and my wife wanted some new things, and I decided I had to go back to work and make a little bit of money. By the way, folks, I have 84 people on my real estate team. I have an income stream coming in, indirect income from helping them, coaching them, taking a 10% of their revenue to make sure that they do more transactions. And I also, with the company I'm with, and there are multiple companies similar to the company I work with, that will also pay me residual revenue long after I retire from active sales activity. That's a company you want to find, by the way, because that's something that where you can really build a second Social Security income. Or you could do, like a friend of mine, make $1 million a year building much larger teams. So what is the magic? The magic is you can learn how to pick up the phone and call expired listings for sale by owners and have your ears burnt off on a regular basis by the comments of those people when you dial them. Or you can simply do something fun, something entertaining, something believable. And that I call education. You see, a webinar is not a sales pitch. A webinar is an educational experience. And if you can get good at not selling, but really supporting an educational experience for someone, you will develop clients that believe in you, that trust in you, that refer you. And that's what we are good at. As a team, we're at education. What are we doing now? We're sharing an experience with you that you can replicate. So the bottom line is we do 4 different types of webinars. But in real estate, if you want to be really successful, you can't be everything to everyone. You have to find your niche. And I love niches because niche marketing is what has enabled me to build a couple of billion-dollar companies. So these are the niches that we promote 4 times a month on webinars. Niche number 1 is one of my favorite, and that's new construction. Do you know that builders will pay you large sums of money to educate the consumer to buy new construction sales? In my market today, there are 30 builders that are paying real estate agents bonuses, paying all the closing costs for the consumer, buying down the interest rate to move inventory. So that's one of our niches, new construction. The second, and we have an expert on this call. I love him. He's the automatic landlord, Eric Wilner, who will be launching our first investment webinar on the 4th Tuesday of this month, 7:30 Eastern Standard Time. And he is going to teach you how to buy 5 homes in 5 years. You can buy more, but that is what we want people to do, develop that passive income stream. Next, we're going to teach the 33% of consumers who rent how to buy their first home. We're going to educate them about the process. And finally, we have another expert partner on this call, and that's Patrick Butler, who is a master of affinity marketing. I'm going to break that down. Affinity marketing is simply going to a business owner and helping a business owner, a church, a hospital provide value-added real estate benefits to the people that work for them. And what does it cost the business owner? Nada, zero. What is the benefit for the employee? Enormous. So those are the 4 niches that we use that are magical niches that will help you through webinars that we do for you to create 12 closings a year, to build a team of 5 or more people and generate another $60,000 to $80,000 in additional income over your regular real estate income. I could go on forever, but you guys would cut my legs off. I am truly excited about the opportunity to help a real estate agent who maybe did 3 transactions last year, increase, double their revenue, build the team. And here's the greatest part, and I'm done. The greatest part is you don't have to go out and invest thousands of dollars to open your own company. Find a company that is focused on helping you build a company inside their company and pays you accordingly. That's the magic of building a successful business today instead of a job. Back to you, Patrick.
Amen. So now every single podcast, we like to provide a takeaway, a something tangible that you can do this week, literally. In fact, when I was in the Navy, I had a good friend. He took Wing Chun Kung Fu. And I asked him what he liked about it. He goes, what I really like about Wing Chun Kung Fu is I can go to class today and use it later on tonight. I'm like, what kind of a life do you live that you're using Kung Fu in the evening in your personal life? But anyway, in this model that we're talking about, it's exactly the case. So the takeaway for you for this week, talk to your fellow realtors. If you have a branch office, if they still exist in your local marketplace, go in there, have a cup of coffee, talk to some of your fellow coworkers, and make note of who you spoke with. And if they work within your same office, you know them very well. You probably already know their production. But as we talked about earlier, ask them if they've been hitting their goals, just to see if they respond favorably or not. Then, as Skip mentioned, would they be interested and open to other streams of income? And by the way, make sure that you clarify, I'm not talking about Amway or selling a multi-level marketing program. We're talking about in the real estate industry, doing what it is that we already do and that we've been talking about. Make sure that they don't think you're trying to pitch them on something or sell them anything. And then number 3, have they thought about the concept of retiring or being retirable within 5 short years. And I also want to piggyback. We used a formula earlier. If you recruited 5 agents that you were helping to do 12 transactions, it doesn't have to be those numbers. It could a year. It could be 10 agents that are doing 6 transactions, or 100 agents that are doing 1 whatever the number is. And Skip, you've got 87 on your team, so you can pull some of those folks out and do the exact same thing. But literally get some of those folks with the, what was it, Eric, a mental pulse, that say, yeah, I am interested in bumping up my revenue. I am interested in doing something a little different. And I hate calling for sale by owners and expired listings. So talk to me, Goose. I'm all in on this. And that is your takeaway. And even if in this week you don't get anybody that wants to participate, we'd be curious to hear what the responses are. If they think, oh, that's crazy, you're out of your mind, well, have them join us on these weekly podcasts, or have them get on a discovery call with us. We'll be more than happy to chat with you or for you. As you know, we like to do things as part of the team. So that is our takeaway for this week. And I'm going to hand it back to you, Eric, in the studio to wrap up today's incredible call.
Awesome stuff. Remember, today we talked about, all you're doing is networking and asking questions. You haven't shown a house, you haven't listed a house, you haven't done anything. This is the beauty behind our topic this week and during this episode, is creating immediate, because it doesn't take long, immediate indirect income, and it doesn't require you to already be generating direct income. Couple of the really key takeaways that I wanted to throw in there. So first of all, I want to thank you, Skip. Thanks for joining us from Northern Florida. Patrick, thanks for joining us from West Florida. And then thank you so much for joining us, for all of you out there listening to us. Please make sure that you check us out on our YouTube page at youtube.com at 5-year career, all spelled out in letters, 5-year career. If you liked what you heard, give us a like, but don't forget to subscribe, rate, and leave a review. Your feedback, as Patrick mentioned, how did it go? How did your situation go? How did we do? We'd love to hear your feedback. And remember, don't just listen, use this information to build your own 5-year career. Next time, we'll be here again 1 week from today. Until then, keep the 5-year financial freedom, and it all starts with leads. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.